This is Chicago's very own WGN Midday News.
In today's lunch break, getting into the holiday spirit with an easy and tasty appetizer. Author of The Infinite Feast, Brian Tice, joins us with this party favorite, sweet and sour meatballs. They really are. I mean, every time I make these for a party, people just finish them all and they're like, where is the rest? But you have a special recipe. I'm excited for
Well,
it.
yes. Well, thanks. That's what us cooking guys do. We take the traditional recipes and we try to put our own spin a little bit on them, but it's still as easy as it can be. I add to the traditional grape jelly and chili sauce, so a little bit of soy sauce, light brown sugar, and apple cider vinegar. Back in the day, these became very popular in the early 60s. They probably were around in the 50s, but then they really took off, and everybody across America was making them at I think Christmas parties, holiday parties were the real time you did that. That and the crab meat dip are the two things that seem to jump out of the cookbooks back in that day. The reason that I add these extra ingredients is just to up the umami and the sweet and sourness. Sweet and sour, I don't know about you, is sort of my love language. I mean, I love how much more they pop than just if they had the grape jelly and the chili sauce. And so I can start putting these things in the pot, which is fairly straightforward. Yeah, we got the grape jelly, which is great. Chili sauce, the two things you would expect.
And do you make the meatballs yourself, or do you say, okay, buy those bags that are frozen because it's the sauce that is everything?
That's a really good question. And I think that there are several schools of thought about that. There's some people that just absolutely refuse to buy something that's frozen from the store, although they're all organic and the ingredients are absolutely fantastic these days. It's not like you're buying, sort of a meatball that's no good. I mean, they're really quite well done, and the ones I buy anyway. In goes the brown sugar, not too much, just enough, and then the apple cider vinegar, right? And it replaces the lemon juice that was in a lot of the early recipes for this. It's an acid. I like the apple cider vinegar better than the lemon juice because I think it's more stable.
Okay.
So that you get that going, and this is about a 4-minute thing where you get it boiling, and then in go the meatballs. So we won't do everything.
So also talking about the meatballs, Brian, how many do you do per person? So for the recipe that you're making now, how many meatballs go in and how many will that serve?
You got it, Dina. Now, the reason why the store-bought frozen ones are so handy is if you have a party like I do, and this year's a little different because of, everything going on with people wanting to breathe each other's air. I have smaller parties happening, and everyone has to get tested before they come. Anyways, if you have a big party of 100, 150 people, which I tend to do, you don't want to be rolling a bunch of hand-rolled meatballs. It'll just take you too long and go crazy. To answer your question about how many per person, I think 3 is usually my math. Some people won't eat any. Other people will eat 10. So, and at a party where everybody's having a bunch to drink, things can get out of hand. So I think that's about right. For 100 people, I would do 300 meatballs. So that now starts to boil. I then add a little bit of water to arrowroot starch, which, if you are not familiar with it, freezes better than cornstarch, and it doesn't have that chalky kind of taste. It actually doesn't do anything to the flavor profile. Stir that up, and then after this guy is boiling, stir this in, and then you've got a nice sauce with a bunch of character and body to it.
So would I find that starch in the same place in the grocery store? Is that in the same place?
It's not super, yes, if you're lucky. It's not super easy to find. Whole Foods is going to have it.
Okay.
Or more of a neighborhood specialty type store that cares a lot about imported products, that sort of thing, is more likely to have it. Red Mill, I think, is the manufacturer of one of the ones that I like. So, but it really does help it taste better when you've frozen them, which is a great thing to do if you make them ahead of time like I do. I freeze them, and then all I have to do is heat them up, when it's time for the party.
Oh,
so
smart.
and I want to tell you a little bit of a trick here. I'm sure that a lot of viewers have their different ways of doing this, because I'm sure that there's a lot of smart people who are very experienced out there. But if you don't want your brown sugar, which is an ingredient in this, to turn into a hard piece of rock that you have to bash on the counter to get it to
Yes,
be ready
I'm familiar with that technique.
you can do all sorts of things. My favorite thing is to put marshmallows into the bag and the rubber band it up and then put it in the cabinet. Works every time. You will never have hard brown sugar again, which is fantastic. Yeah.
And then when you take it out and use the brown sugar, you can always eat the marshmallows, right?
That's why I like to have extra marshmallows, right? You can also use apple slices, but you got to be careful not to leave them in there for too long.
Right.
Or a piece of bread, which is a little bit more forgiving. So this looks like it's already ready for me to do. And since I'm going to be serving these at a party on Friday, I better actually do this step. All right, so in it goes.
I love that you're using the segment to, make for a party.
I know. I mean, why waste it, right? So in that goes, and then you locate your spoon, and you get that up and running. Now, I try to think of a Meatball song, that I like to sing sometimes, and the best I could do is On Top of Spaghetti. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, yeah.
On top of spaghetti, all covered with cheese, I lost my poor meatball when somebody sneezed. Great song. Then the meatball rolls out the door into the garden and becomes a meatball tree, which is a great way to get free meatballs, right? It's a very creative song. This is going very well.
Other than the sneeze, because everyone's afraid of that given these times.
Yeah, I didn't quite think that through. The Omicron meatballs, do you know what that?
Yeah, right.
Omicron meatball tree. Yeah.
Brian,
So
great recipe.
This is ready for these to go in. So,
all right, you pour the meatballs in.
Great to join you. Yeah. And this is what they look like in the chafing dish. Don't forget your chafing dish at the end.
Oh, lovely.
Let's try one. What do we think?
There we go.
Tiny little bite. Yum, yum, yum. I love it. And
have a great party, Brian. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Dina. Love to see you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
For more recipes from Brian Tice, visit theinfinitefeast.com. We will post this particular recipe on our website, WGNTV.com/midday. You can mix up your traditional meatballs this year.